single person and you love to be, the bachelor or the bachelorette, just having fun. There's this guy I don't want to say his name, but he's famous for going to certain things in LA. Everyone knows him around the world. He's always with like socialites, but he's like a bachelor, well of age, like older, much older. But that's the life he likes. I mean,
Yeah.
we know someone that works with him, and sometimes she tells us about like where he is in his mind. And he, when COVID happened, he was so frustrated because he couldn't go to like Seychelles or some exotic fucking location. And right now he's traveling somewhere because, he's, he's older, he's single, he doesn't have kids. I'm like, what is that like to be a bachelor of that age and just, still be out there, playing the field? But some people fucking like that. They
To each his
just,
own.
to each their own. But that being said, I think couple life is great too. If you can keep it exciting, it is fun. Like you're actually building a household together, a life together, a routine together. Um, and when you look back on all that, it's kind of awesome if that's what you want as well.
I agree. Absolutely. And like, I know we've talked a lot about couples and sex and the intimacy, and we didn't really kind of hit on any of the singles. So I want to make sure that we have like at least a few minutes to touch base about, because you and I had this conversation recently about when someone should have sex
Mm-hmm.
when you're single. When do you make that decision to say, hey, I really like you, I think we should sleep together? And it was something that I wanted to make sure that we really touched on, because like, while you have your couples and this is not an issue anymore, this is not something you think of, but when you're single,
Mm-hmm.
especially for women, when you're single, you're thinking, when are we going to have sex? Men are wondering, when am I getting laid? Where women are thinking, when are we going to have that level of intimacy? And something that I think is really important to look at is the fact that women will bond through sex. So, ladies, if you're listening to me, stop having sex so early into the relationship. Get him to commit to the idea of a relationship to you before you sleep with him.
If that's what you want, right? Or should
Right.
that just
If
be
you want to
uh-uh.
be in a relationship with him, then you need to wait.
Mm.
If you don't want a relationship with him and you're looking just for sex, then fine, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But if you are going on a date with someone and you're thinking, I want to be in a relationship with this guy, you're going to have sex with him, you're going to bond,
Yeah.
because your oxytocin levels are going to go skyrocketing.
Yeah.
And that's how you bond.
Yeah.
Where on the flip side, the man, he's not bonding through sex. Come on. And I've
No,
heard
he's not.
people,
No, he's not.
I had someone the other day trying to convince me like otherwise. And I'm like, no, no, no.
No.
Biologically, he is not bonding through sex, because his oxytocin level actually will drop.
Yeah.
And that is what causes us to bond, is high oxytocin level.
Yeah.
So he's not bonding with you through sex. He's
Yeah.
bonding with you in other ways.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to spiral that direction, but I'm just, we keep talking about like, sex when you're single and how great it is, but also we haven't really like touched on the fact that, ladies, stop giving it up so easily. In fact, I
Yeah.
think my grandmother taught my mom, and my mom taught me the whole idea of, why buy the cow if you're given the milk for free?
Yeah. There's absolutely speaking. I mean, okay, so I haven't been the chaser all the time in my pursuit of dating and whatnot, but I will say this. And based on things that I've heard my friends say, gay or straight, top or bottom, whatever, there
Mm-hmm.
is something to be said about the chase. And usually guys go after the one that's hardest to get.
Absolutely.
I've known so many guys where I'm gonna be real with you. The person that they were chasing after was not the best person in the world, but the fact that that person was telling them no kept the guy interested. But the girl or the other guy that was like throwing the ass at them, blowing them, in a car, on the street. When I mean blowing, giving them oral sex, wherever they want, doing the
Is there another
kinkiest.
type of blowing that I don't know about?
Yeah, no, no, no. Doing the kinkiest, nastiest shit for that guy. He will completely overlook that person for the one that they can't get. It is,
Mhm.
it's biological in men. When my husband and we didn't have sex for, I think it was 2 months, mainly because, of a living situation, but that was good because it kind of forced us we would spend the first 2 months of our relationship making out in my red Jeep for at least 30 minutes before he would have to get out, go into his apartment because he had a roommate, and then I would go home to my parents' house. For the first 2 months, that's all
Aw.
we did. So there was a chase for both of us. There was always a will he, won't he? And
Mhm.
if there is something to be said about making the guy think, is she or isn't she? Does
Mhm.
she or, I mean, does she like me or I'm confused? Keeping that in the guy's mind, it's the chase. They like the chase. And I think, I mean, not that I think, you are absolutely right. Just as a man myself, when you're fucking someone, all you're feeling is a warm hole. All you're feeling is the tightness of that hole on your penis sucking at it. And once you come, either you kiss the person because you really enjoy them and you like them, and that's usually someone you're dating, or you're like, okay, time to go, see you later. It's almost like taking a dump and leaving. I'm just being totally explicit and real with you. This is kind of just how the anatomy of it works. Whereas in my mind, if you're a female, you have to A, get wet, B, get excited for the person, C, you then have to be relaxed enough to allow them to enter inside of your body without the thought of thinking that they're going to possibly overpower you or rape you. So there's a lot. It's like when I used to bottom for guys, the psychological thing you have to go through to allow a man to put himself inside of you is a lot. And a lot of times when that would happen, I will become so hung up on the guy to the point where I was unhealthily
Mm.
attached to them. That's what sex does. And what you're saying for a woman, it does happen for a lot of gay men who are more of the bottoms in relationships. The whole
Mhm.
act of relaxing your whole psyche to let a man come inside of you, there's bonding there. Whereas the guy, for him, all he's feeling is a warm hole. And then when he's done, he could just go. I'm just being real.
Yeah,
If
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've
it's
never heard it explained in that way, but that's enlightening. Yes. So biologically, the difference is that, we bond through oxytocin, and we have this huge spike as women. And after you're done with, you're cuddling or whatever you're doing afterwards, because it's not to say that guys won't still cuddle with you afterwards, but let's
yeah,
say you're cuddling after sex and you've been on a few dates and you're thinking, oh my God, this guy really, really likes me. I really, really like him. And we just had sex and it was mind blowing sex. And so now I think I'm his girlfriend. Wrong.
wrong.
That did not make you his girlfriend, honey.
Yeah,
You never got any kind of commitment from him before. So why does he have to commit to you now?
yeah,
You never had a conversation or even put into place anything to say, look, I want us to be exclusive before you had sex. You just
yeah.
had sex and then afterwards think, okay, now we're in a relationship. And he's thinking, sweet, I just got laid. That's all he's
Yes.
thinking.
On to the next. It's like the Ariana Grande song. Thank you. Next.
Right,
Seriously.
because the whole chase thing for men is this dopamine need, the
Yeah.
need to constantly win and win and win. And that's where that chase comes from.
Yeah.
And if they're not getting it, they're going to find someone who is giving them that dopamine fix. And don't get me wrong, women have it too, but nothing like men.
Yeah.
Men have testosterone in play, they have vasopressin in play, they have dopamine. These three things have to be in line for him to want to commit to you,
Yeah.
not oxytocin. So
Yeah.
it's so different. Our genetic makeup is just so opposite from each other
Mhm.
that I think women really just are misinformed and